Hey everyone, I wanted to give a shout out to server 195 plus 118. Shout out to AKT Alliance, VNF, Dad. I think there was a lot of alliances that knew my channel, and so I want to give them a shout out like I promised that I would. And so this this is a breaking news. Sorry. I'm laughing because when I look back at the I'm sorry. It's so funny. Okay, you're gonna understand when you see. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because it was just chaos. It was just straight up chaos, okay? But it's fine. I'm sorry. I'm still laughing because it's just, oh my God, I'm gonna start laughing when I look back at all this stuff. Okay. So as you see here, everybody's scored a lot of points here, and I didn't score a lot of points, but I just want to say one thing. I was inside of every single person that got rallied, and I made like no points. So I just want to preface that this server was awfully, awfully nice to me, and I have to say that usually every SVS, there's people that do know this channel, and I appreciate all the people that are fans. It's always kind of funny to me because I don't really think anything of it, but I wanted to give them a special shout out because they were very, very welcoming. And so when that happens though, sometimes my like my care bearness kicks in, and I don't want to rally anybody, I don't want to like kill anybody, but I just remember that I had to work. I had to work like pretty late on Friday, and it just was like kind of stressful, so I didn't get to really, get to like chat or play SVS at all. Like I was just not available on Friday and basically didn't even log into the game until BOC the next day. So whenever that happens, like I know it sucks because like you watch people on their channel and you want to be able to like interact with them and talk to them. So, after BOC, we lost. We lost that BOC, which was that was like very disappointing for our team. And I think it's okay to talk about this stuff, right? Because you know, I think it's great that there's a lot of teams out there that always win, and I think that the reality of most teams on Evony is that we win and lose. And sometimes we lose a lot. And sometimes we win a lot. But we have to kind of acknowledge the times that we also lose. And a lot of people sometimes can't bounce back from that. And sometimes people really take it hard, or they're really competitive and they have to win. And so they take it very, very tough. And for me, I've been through so much shit in life that like nothing kind of phases me, if that makes sense. And so the most important thing about an experience is that you enjoyed it, or you had fun, or you got something that you learned from it, right? And so we definitely got something from this SVS. So basically, we saw I think it was like a 26 billion or a 24 billion, and all the scouts that we saw, they didn't have reinforcements, right? So we were like, we could probably just, do this rally without our big players, just kind of thinking that we didn't need them, even though we absolutely did. And we just decided to rally on our own, and this was the outcome. All right, it wasn't great. And it ended up being that there were like 345 keeps in there, I think. So we clearly lost. So, it's just one of those things where when you're playing SVS, you just want to have fun, and you like, do you know what, how like when you break the seal, like when you're drinking, and it's kind of the same thing with PvP. Like once you do one rally, you want to just keep going and you just want to keep playing. Like even if you've lost, you just want to keep doing it, right? And so I think in our mindset, we were like, you know what? We couldn't easily take a rally from these players because there's only like a couple players on. And just in our experience, most of the time we're point positive when we get rallied. just depending on who's, reinforcing and who's rallying. You'll see here that the points kind of crept up after Kumo got hit and we tried to rally, and it's not that big of a differential. 3 billion might be a lot for maybe a newer server, but for an older server like ours, 3 billion isn't too big of a gap. So we just, kept reinforcing each other and hanging out, and really, to be quite honest, we didn't think anything was going to happen. So that was not the case. They decided to show up and turn out, and they just went on a rally spree. So they just did everybody one by one, which is obviously very strategic. You want to pick off everyone so that it gets easier to rally the next person with less reinforcements. And so they got Ken's, they got PQ, and then Monkey came over. So it was basically just me, Monkey, and Big T. And yes, we really are like the Three Stooges, or maybe more like the Three Musketeers, but King Monkey does perform really well, and he outperforms Big T and I a lot of times in BOCs. So when they rallied Monkey next, I was surprised that, they were going for Monkey, and then I was actually surprised at the outcome. But at the same time, the only reinforcements he had left were Big T and I. And so we are not Pharaoh or Duke type stats. So, we were a little surprised at how much they took off of him, but easily that could have been me or Big T at that time. Now, after the rally on King Monkey, it just kind of was chaos, right? Because you just saw all those rallies happening one after the other. Well, right at this moment, Dark World, and his name is Bunny World in this this video, but he was like freaking out because he could not speed his march back. And obviously you want to be able to speed your march back when you're ported out of the hive, or like the rally team, because you don't want people to find you, but you can speed into rallies. So he could not speed back his march, and that has happened to me before on that stupid Sapphire account. When that Sapphire account got zeroed, I could not speed the march back. So I know what he's talking about. So on the left of me, I have, Dark World freaking out. He it looks like he's bubbled, so I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. I reinforced him. I sped to reinforce him. And then on the other side of me, like, Big T's getting rallied, and I'm thinking that he's online and he's just gonna, take the rally and teleport, but I'm not hearing anything from him, and all I'm, seeing is, like, Dark situation that he has, he can't even reset his phone, he's stuck, and so I didn't actually put two and two together thinking that, oh, that must be the same thing that's happening to Big T. I just didn't even think about it because I just thought he was on. And so yeah, so you're going to see these hits are going to be pretty big, and the only reinforcement that's in him is me, right? So since there were 3 rallies at a time, I didn't want to pull reinforcements. I couldn't really do any counters, but also I was trying to get people to message T on Discord. I had to try to go onto Discord, even though going on Discord is very risky when you're in these situations. And that's something too that, looking back at this, and these are always things in hindsight, and I don't think anybody on our rally team did anything wrong. They all went home like they were supposed to. But, I think if somebody's getting rallied, your bubble stays on for 5 minutes when you go to an enemy server. So people probably could have teleported back in, kept their bubble on, and reinforced without having to do any sort of combat, and then, that might have kept him alive a little bit more or gotten more points. But you know what? That's hindsight. Like, most of the people probably logged off. Usually when you get hit and you lose, you're not happy. It's sour grapes and you just want to log off the game. So I honestly don't think a lot of people were on. So yes, this is officially where Big T gets zeroed. And I know this was the moment everyone was waiting for. Now, I will say this, be easy on Big T. Don't go too hard on the trolling. I know there's a lot of people out there that are, that will want to see this. But I will say this. The way that Big T handled it all, I think goes to show his character, because there's a lot of people that would rage quit. There's a lot of people that would get upset. And of course, and Dark World had every right to be upset when, he was stuck as well. So like, understand that when you're dealing with like the technical stuff of Evony, it's one thing when BOC lags out, or you can't get BOC to work as it's supposed to, because you get your troops back, right? But SVS is a different story, where you're getting your RSS plundered, you're getting your troops taken, and luckily with troops you can recover that with soul, but not everybody is going to have 150k soul to recover 30 billion power, right? And so I think it's just one of those things that he took it with grace. I think that's the best way to put it. He took it with grace. So give him that. And also, you all have experienced technical issues with Evony, so empathize with that before you go on a troll spree. But believe me, like, he is my teammate, and I do not want to see him get zeroed. And I was there. I stood by the whole time, throughout thick and thin, right? Like, I'm there supporting him, even though it means I was probably going to get rallied next. And it did turn out that there was a pause. So after they zeroed Big T, I was waiting. I was waiting for me to go next. And I just thought, it's probably not smart for me to take a rally, because I have no reinforcements, right? Nobody was around, and I probably should just go back home. But when we were having chats in the SVS channel, it turned out that the other side, the opponent side, also had lag, and they were also getting frozen. So my guess is after the Big T rallies, when they were trying to, plunder him, and whatever glitch was happening on his side, they were experiencing it. So I was able to jet out of there. So he gets on and he's like, I'm positive. And he's just like happy. Like, that's the first thing that came out of his mouth was, I'm positive. Like, he's surprised. Like, it's the first time he's ever gotten positive in SVS, which is kind of true. So of course everyone is like wondering why Big T would take these rallies and just get zeroed and lose all these points, but no one purposely goes and tries to lose a bunch of points, right? It's always something that happens with Evony, and here's the points, 12 billion power. I'm not going to show you the negative here, but if you join my Den Bear Discord channel, you might see it there. Only if he lets me, though. And so you'll see here that on the other side, they said that they also froze. So that there's a technical situation happening when the other side also freezes. I'm sure you guys have all experienced this at least one time or another, but there is something in Evony's game where when people are getting rallied and when people are, on the other end of it, there's like too much information going on at the same time, where the server or the bandwidth or whatever it is just freezes, and the game still plays out, but people just can't get into the game, right? So they need to fix that for sure. I think in order to prevent, people from rage quitting, because there's a lot of people that would, right? So I think they need to look into that. Dark World, I wasn't so concerned with, because I know that we could easily recover him. There's a difference between, recovering a 3 billion that gets hit than a 30 plus billion. So I knew that we would be able to help him with his resources or whatever that happens, but he's got the video. So not only did I record the video of him getting stuck, he also was able to record it on his side. So definitely we will raise all of this to CS. So yes, PQ saying that I need to go to 45, and he's absolutely right. I do need to go to 45. This is probably the event that put a fire under my ass to actually now start thinking about 45. I will say that like you guys know, I'm not a chaser, right? And so if something is too hard to get to, I'm just going to play the game and enjoy it and not have to grind, because that does not make the game enjoyable. But now that we have seen evidence now that we just need to have more 45s when we're up against C1 and C2 servers, 245s is not going to cut it anymore, right? And I hate to say that because I hate to be a part of the problem, right? Like, I want to be a 44 forever. I also think that it's harmful to the community when you have all the YouTubers that are going to 45 and then Evony's like, oh, well, that's the precedence, right? Like, that's all the normal players. And yes, there's a lot of, trap keeps and stuff that do YouTube, but a lot of the players are 45. So if they're able to get there, Evony thinks that everyone in the population can, and that's just not the case. I want to kind of represent the medium level, and I get it, there's a lot of people that think I spend a lot, but there's a lot of people think that I have low buffs, so I like to be in that middle area because it's the least amount of drama. And so that's that. So it did not end here, okay? So that chaos that happened did not end with Big T. It kept going. So we had Pharaoh that was unbubbled, and everyone's like, we should green bubble him. And I looked at his power, and he was 39, and he's originally 43. So if he got rallied, he definitely won, okay? So he definitely won. So in those instances when you have people that are unbubbled, reinforce them and let them take one hit, make sure an R4 is on, and then have them green bubble, right? I have seen that happen many times. Big T actually went point positive the last SVS when, he was offline for 8 hours and he got rallied. But after, he had a couple of point positive exchanges, then you green bubble. So that would be the best practice in situations like this when you know your keep. Now, it's important that you know each other's keeps. And so when you're doing BOCs, when you're doing BOGs, make sure you're analyzing what your coworkers, I feel like they're called coworkers, what your teammates have, because that is the only way you're going to know how to assess something like this. So Duke, is then now taking rallies. And so it's like, okay, now Duke is getting into the situation where he hates to lose, all right? Duke is very competitive and he hates to lose. So even Duke with reinforcements was getting chunked on those rallies, okay? So now we're all stumped because we thought, oh, for sure, if Duke's getting rallied, he's going to be point positive. We all thought he was going to be point positive. So let's take a look at some of these defense hits. And, these days, I would bubble. I don't care what size you are. I would just bubble because you just don't know anymore. So yeah, so you're looking at some really big hits with 46 reinforcements. That should not be the norm, right? With that many reinforcements, you should not be dying that much. So you have King Monkey that's just kind of like, this makes absolutely no sense. I mean, when King Monkey got rallied, he only had 2 reinforcements, right? And now Duke, who has really, really high stats, just, is taking these major losses. Pharaoh finally got online. He showed his reports, and of course they were point positive for SVS. And Kumo is so sweet. She was the only one reinforcing him. She is the sweetest. I cannot say how much I love Kumo. She just is such a great teammate. And I do want to say, props to the R4s. They had to make a decision, and I think they went with what is the most risk adverse, and they were just looking out for their teammates. So I don't think that they did anything wrong in doing the green bubble. You can't do anything wrong when you're trying to protect your team, right? And it's the same thing with me leaving and not taking a rally. I was just being risk adverse, even though maybe I could have went even, or maybe I could have went positive. Maybe I would have went really negative, but it wouldn't really have mattered because we were, down by 20 billion anyway. So in hindsight, those types of things I'll probably do differently next time. But here is the twist, okay? Here is the end twist that happened with Duke's Keep. The reason why he kept losing all those freaking troops is that he did not have his subsidies on. He didn't have his sub-generals. So the team showed up and they reinforced. So that's a good amount of people reinforcing. So definitely we should have gone positive on all of those rallies. But you'll see here too, when you scroll down to the bottom after the traps, you're going to see all of your subgenerals and what troops are there and what is intact. And so he had one city left. So that's still a huge, huge loss, especially when you have, I think he has 12 slots open. So that is a major difference of how a rally is going to turn out. So I think this is why, for me, losses are never truly all a loss. There's a lot that you learn from it, and you can apply it for winning the next time. And so let's face it, we all have these really bad SVSs, or we just have these panic modes where, obviously Duke wasn't thinking. He got on, he saw Big T zeroed. He's just like, I'm gonna freaking, solo whoever, is unbubbled, and then not realizing that he didn't revive his generals. And we've all been through this. We've all done it. So I'm just glad that there is a platform where we can show you guys our mistakes. All of the big teams, all of the small teams, we all have failed. So just please, I hope this video goes to the people that need it the most. If you've gotten zeroed, if you've, lost a BOC or whatever, just know that just get yourself back up there. You can brush yourself off, get back on. And look, when there's a lot of chaos and panic going on, it is hard to make the right decisions. So make sure that if you're ever in the situation with your teammates, to step back, take a breath. Everybody just step back, take a breath, and recompose yourself, and then go to the next plan, right? And I know I said it before, but I just want to say it again. If this happens and your teammate is upset, just let them be, because a lot of time and money is tied into this game, and unfortunately, a lot of money can be lost in these situations. So I think it's one of those things where just don't judge too much, understand where people are coming from, and they'll get over it, or maybe they won't and they'll just leave the game. But sometimes maybe that is for the best. I've talked to a lot of people that have quit Evony, and I definitely always give the advice that if something affects your real life and just affects it negatively, your mental health, your emotional well-being, you got to get out of it. Even if that just means taking a break, even if it means taking a week off, right? You really have to assess it. Sometimes it's not just Evony, right? Sometimes it's just a lot of stuff and how you handle the environment in Evony that is not healthy for you. So I've seen a lot of players quit, and it's actually been better for the team. It's been better for servers, and it's been better for the community. There's been a lot of people that take things to the extreme, and not only do they let it affect themselves, they also affect other people, and they go past, anything game wise, right? They don't just leave it to, zeroing each other on the game. And, people even get really like, oh my God, you zeroed somebody on the game. Yeah, it's a game mechanic. That is a part of the game. But people personalize it. People, bring in their personal stuff. People have those toxic relationships. People break up marriages. Like, literally, people do some really shitty shit that brings in a lot of real life stuff. And understanding this, you can prevent or you can change, right? Change your environment, change your mindset, or prevent these things from happening. So those are all very important things to think about when you're thinking about Evony, especially when you're playing at a higher level, especially when you're spending a lot of money. Those are just very all important things. And if you have been zero before, if you have zeroed people, feel free to join the Bear Den. You can join the club. Everyone has been on both sides. So I did want to showcase the AKT Alliance one more time, because they are not only really great players, they are just so cool, like they are so confident in their abilities that they're just so laid back. Like, you would not have known. And I apologize that I didn't know this, because I really tend to stay in my own lane. The best way to stay out of drama is like just to stay close to your server and not get into the business of other stuff or other servers or other continents, right? So I definitely support a lot of the teams. I have a lot of good friends on really great, alliances and servers, and I do, hear from them about their challenge experiences, but I don't tend to get involved in any of that kind of stuff. So I didn't realize that they were a top finalist in C1. So you would not have known because they're so just like so laid back and cool. They're like nobody has like an ego there. Like when you're in SVS chat, everyone's so nice. Like I had no idea. So look at this. They are top 4. They went against RSP, they went against NEF, they went against GOT, but then they were above a lot of these really great alliances in C1, so obviously they got their stuff together. I think they're like 795 billion power, so definitely more experienced than us. So I'll show you guys where we ranked in Chalons on C2. So we got top 5, which we didn't make the finals, but as you all know, these are very well-known teams in Evony. So you have Vig, NFG, DTP, and ICE, and we got kind of lucky. So again, like I want to show you guys how my thought process is. We got the same amount of subs as 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place, but we did not have to get killed or waste our speeds in finals, right? So in a way, we kind of won. But not really. Realistically, we're still number 5, but it is something that we can strive to, right? It's something that we can work up to. So let me know in the comments if you guys want to see more Val content or if you kind of like how the channel is set up, because I truly want to not get into that area of, oh, look at our team, we're so awesome, because it's just not who I am. And I have established this channel way before I joined Val, right? I was how I am way before I joined Val. And the reason why I've been showcasing Val a little bit more is because building up the team has been a big part of my gameplay, right? So I have been through all the ups and downs in Val, and I am still here, right? So obviously your core team that is still around is what is important. And I have brought in a lot of recruits that align with my gameplay. And I think it's just one of those things where I am very much aligned with how the direction of our alliance is going. Now, from an outsider's perspective, we were the C3 champions and now we're, number 5 in C2. There's a lot of factors that go into that. And I can guarantee you, if we were part of the old era, right, in the era prior to the era now, we probably would not have ranked top 1 or 2 or 3 in C2, right? C2 is C2 for a reason. They have a lot of the best alliances here. Our spend level as a whole has drastically gone down. However, a lot of the keeps that did not spend a lot has gone up. So a little bit of the depth has fleshed out a bit, but our top level of keeps has gone down. So being able to still maintain the position that we're at actually is a testament to the hard work that we have had to put into this alliance. Truly it is. And it is amazing how drastically how much the spend level has gone down, but it's again, your team cannot just rely on your top keeps, right? And your team can't just be middle players. You need to have that balance. You need to have both. And as we have learned from playing against AKT, we didn't have a chance against, more 45s, right? So obviously there's something to that. And even though we didn't play against a lot of players in AKT, I don't think a lot of their players showed up in the very beginning when they were doing rallies, right? Those rallies, Big T called them tiny rallies. So it was literally tiny rallies that took Tiny Tina out. So, but, so at the start, they didn't have a lot of players playing, I think when Duke started getting rally, though, I think they had a lot more players playing at that time. But like I said, you can still have, only a couple handful of people, but if they're all 45s, they're gonna murder, 5 of your 44s or less. So you just have to understand the game dynamics and how every single thing is always moving. It's constantly moving, constantly flexible. You have to be nimble if you want to be able to survive in this environment on Evony. So that's it. I feel like this was a baby bear TED Talk and showcasing the amazing great alliance AKT. And you know what, AKT, I hope you put your banner up in my Discord channel because, you guys are a great alliance. I'm very proud of you. So thanks again for a fun time, and hope you guys out there got something out of this because it was a lot of talking. So I'll see you guys soon.